Islam, 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 and welcome to Sister Standing on Law. This is your host, N.J.L, along with my co-host, Rosmariah Bay.
Islam, peace and love to everyone.
Islam, Islam. And Islam to all sisters listening today. You know, this show is for everyone, but most especially it is for you. Because we really, really, really need the sisters to wake up in a very big way, because it is, you are fallen humanity, and it is through you that humanity will be lifted. And so we really do need our sisters to wake up, because if you look through history, everything always got started. I mean, action took place when the sisters got involved. When the sisters just couldn't take it anymore for whatever reason. It always it gets the action. You know, it's talk. Until the sisters get involved, then you get action. And that's not a bad thing, because sometimes in that talking we need to come up with strategies. But a lot of times when the talking, the strategy needs to take action, it's because sisters just take action. And so we really and truly, we need our sisters to wake up so badly, because, you know, it is through the waking up, I can't say it enough, it's through the waking up of the sisters. It's right there on the 101. It's in everything. It is all about mother, sister, you know. So as long as she doesn't realize that she's being mentally conditioned, as long as she doesn't realize that she's asleep, humanity will remain in the condition it is in right now. And the major reason for that is because everything comes through a womb. Everything. Everything comes through a womb. Nothing comes through a penis. Everything comes through a womb. All right, and we really need to know this. We can't just mouth it. A lot of things that we do and a lot of things that we say, it's like we're just going through the motions, because we have to ask ourselves, you know, what are we doing this for? I remember back in the day when I was an Amway distributor, I got swept into it because of the energy that was there. And then I had to stop one day and ask myself, why am I doing this? Really, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for me, for the betterment of myself and my family, or am I doing this for my ego? And I have to tell you, a lot of us, we do things for ego. And so it's really important for us to look at what we are doing and really objectively ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Because if you're doing this for ego, you're doing it for the wrong reason. This broadcast, and just so that everyone knows, the chat room is open. Welcome to Sisters Standing on Law. This is the 20th of September, 1435. Moorish calendar, 2015 Christian calendar year. And this particular broadcast is entitled, Are You Mother? Are You Mother? Many times we mothers, because of mental conditioning, allow ourselves to be declassified and dehumanized by these corporations disguised as counties, cities, township, and boroughs, inclusive of their institutions of alleged education, which is just another corporation. Many of the words used to trick mother into this are words like guardian. Are you the guardian? are you the primary caregiver? And in some cases, are you the informant? We have heard these words. I know I have heard these words on these so-called alleged applications. Are you the mother? Are you the father? When we answer questions like that, they know we don't know jack. Because if you knew something at all, you would know that you are the mother and the father. Because the only thing going on this planet, on this continent, in this dimension, is mother and son. So the mental conditioning is that your mother and the son is father. That's a mental conditioning. It's so erroneous. And it is designed to mentally condition the people so that they're fighting with each other. And they got these sons running around out here thinking that they're putting in on or they're contributing to the making of the child. And they're not. And I'm not saying that to ruffle any son's feathers. I'm saying that because until we recognize these things and accept them, they will always be able to mentally condition us. Because now we're talking, when you don't want to accept the truth, then that means you're coming from ego. Mothers, if you don't want to accept that everything that is happening because of you, then they will always be able to manipulate you. And sons, if you don't want to recognize that you ain't never had a nickel in the dime of creating that child, and that's all they're doing is using you to come after mother because it's all about coming after mother. If you don't want to recognize all the various different ways that they come after mother, and a lot of times they come through the son to come after mother in one way or another, and a lot of it is through mental conditioning. The prophet said that we have to have the proper respect for womankind, and he's absolutely correct. When you watch this television, when you listen to this so-called music, when you're walking down the street, when you see how people are interacting with mother, you recognize that the son has lost it in terms of the proper respect for mother. Everybody came here through a mother. Everybody. So we always got to have the proper respect for mother, whether she is in her mind or out of her mind. So all of these various different words, guardian, primary caregiver, informant, all of these put the child under the jurisdiction of the corporation by what appears to be voluntary in loco parentis. Voluntary in loco parentis. In loco parentis, in the Black's Law Dictionary, is defined as in the place of the parent. Now, you got to know the parent is mother. Instead of a parent, that means instead of mother. Take out parent and put mother, in the place of the mother. Instead of a mother, charged factitiously with a mother's rights, duties, and responsibilities. This is what it says in the Black's Law 4th edition dictionary that defines the word in loco parentis. So mothers, sisters, when are you going to wake up and take your place amongst the affairs of men and really and truly start protecting the next generation? Because it's on the mother to protect the next generation because, like I said, everything comes through a womb. You have got to wake up. You've got to know that all of these various different corporations, their sole objective is to put you in a position where you, now look at the words, guardian and primary caregiver. Primary, how many times have we heard, are you the primary caregiver? The word alone means that that's not your child. You're caring for it on behalf of someone or something else. And that's the way they're handling us. Because we have to really get assertive and in some cases aggressive when it comes to the protection of our children. We can't be wishy-washy anymore. You hear me, sisters? We can't be wishy-washy anymore because I remember when children got into these institutions they call school, they started you in like I think it was age 5. Got to understand that this is a mental conditioning. They got you in at the age of 5. Now they're getting the children into these daycare schools while they're infants. You know, and in some cases they've gone even before the baby is born. They are going after mothers very aggressively because they know if they can twist the mother's mind, everything that comes out of her will be twisted. Everything. So it's up to the mothers to wake up. What does that mean? That means that you look, and there's a sister that brought this to our attention, but it's bigger than this. You know, now we are hearing that they're requiring, or I should say compelling or demanding, that the children have to have a state identification card in order to participate in these little leagues. Now, we really got to look at some of these things. It's not that we have to look at these things and be combative. We need to look at these things and be smarter. Many of these little leagues, sports, they operate through these corporations. When by corporation I mean the county corporations, just like these institutions they call schools. I don't care if they call them schools, that's a corporation. Who are they working for when they play under these little league games or sports? Who are they working for? Who are they promoting? Who are they supporting? Who are they playing on behalf of? They're playing on behalf of corporations. So, okay, the prophet said we need to worship under our own vine and fig tree. Why aren't we establishing sports games or athletic or little leagues under our own great seal government? I mean, hell, we know that we have more than enough children. We have more than enough Asiatic children out there where we can establish our own leagues and we can play within our own nation. All right? We look, one of my daughters, their child is playing in this county little league, and they're sending around trying to sell baked goods to raise money for these county little leagues. We can do the same thing, and we got to know that when we got to look at what they're doing now, they're compelling all of the children to wear these school uniforms, and the school uniform has their logo on it for the county. So now your child is tagged as county property. Now, I'm not saying that, if I'm not trying to make any mother feel guilty or any feel bad because she has to right now send her child there. But one of the things that I have learned is that these corporations, they will push themselves on the people as long as the people do not push back. And by that I mean, okay, if you want your child to wear a uniform, it doesn't have to have their emblem on it. It doesn't have to have their stamp on it. And that needs to be your position, because you don't want your child branded as property of these county corporations or city corporations. They usually function based off of county, and they have like a bunch of city, township, boroughs all lumped under a county, and the county is like the head. We got to do more research as mothers, and we got to be more assertive, like I said, and more aggressive in protecting our children, because the prophet did say that this is for the young and the yet unborn. But think about it. Everybody listening, think about where you are in your study. Think about where you are right now in your knowledge base. Think about where you are right now with law. And think about this. If you were to pass today, would your children be able to step into your shoes and continue what you started? Would they be able to? And some of you might be, oh, they're too young. You know, I got children that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look, I have seen children 5 years old listen to a song one time and play and sing it word for word the next time they hear it. So don't tell me that they can't pick up on this. These children are like sponges. They soak up information. The question we need to ask ourselves is, what kind of information are we pouring on the sponge? You know, what is our strategy for now and the future? Because, you know, I was listening to this, I have the Secret on audio. And one of the most important, I mean, so many very important points that are mentioned in this audio. One of the things it said is, people focus on today as though today is important. They say, this is what I am today. But it said, no, that's not what you are today. That's what you created yesterday that manifested today. And what you're focusing on today is what you will create tomorrow. So what are we focusing on today, mothers? What are we focusing on today, right now, that is going to manifest, whether you like it or not, whether it's good or bad, tomorrow? We have got to wake up. We've got to really look at what are we doing. We've got to look at what part we are playing today in the future, because we are creating it right now. Right now. And, you know, and our tomorrow is so much broader than we normally think. So we have to think, we have to start right now thinking in a much more broader way for our future generation. Islam?
Islam, that's very interesting. When like I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, well, what are some mothers thinking about the fact that, oh, all right, they have on uniforms, and now after they've already got us into wearing uniforms, which was done for good reasons, so no one would feel inferior that they didn't have the better clothing or whatever like that. In the public schools, they did that. But that was just a initiation of what's to come. You just said it. Do we think of what's to come? We are so blindly being mentally programmed that we don't think of what's to come for the children, really. So now it's like, all right, now that we've got them to accept the uniforms, now let's put our on it. And, you know, that has a powerful meaning. I want to read now what I'm looking for, and what you're looking for, and is I sent to MHHS Eyes Wide Open, and it's called Child ID Card or Not. And it's going to set the premise here, because first of all, I trust you'll find it, and it's something that is written by Sister Jayana Bay, Jayana Bay, out of this so-called Ohio territory. And it's still an edit, but the information that's on it is so powerful, because likened to the uniforms with the tags on it, they now have the child identification card. And I know that Jayana can express her passion on that, what she sees with her eyes of our sisters, conscious or not conscious. Well, it's definitely time for them to become conscious. because they are allowing these identification cards to be given to their newborns, 5-year-olds, newborns, it doesn't matter. And in conjunction with the extracurricular activity, they're saying, and let me tell you why they're saying that, see, they're always up on what we do. We're not up. They're saying that it doesn't matter what type of birth record, birth certificate, or live birth record you have. This is how they're countering all of the Moors who are obtaining live birth records and who are claiming their national status. And you have to understand these people are of a quasi-national domicile, and they have the intent of human trafficking. Now, if they didn't have the intent of human trafficking, it would be something different, but they do. Therefore, they will not put the nationality of the child on the card at all. In fact, these child IDs, as being explained, are issued from a quasi-national domicile, which is a state, any state. You name the state, it's quasi-national, because the only thing that's national are nationals. Therefore, the national government, which would, you would get your national identification card. If you go to a quasi-national, like a state, county, township, borough, you're not getting a national identification. You're getting issued through and by a corporation because that's a corporation. So corporations can only issue to other corporations. We are so stuck on thinking they're government that we feel as though if we make any changes or what we call refuting them, that we are refuting the government. So if you the government, then none of this applies. I mean, really think about it, Annie. If it is not clear to the people that these county, city, township, boroughs are not government, then how is it possible for them to understand what is actually going on when they submit these things? Is it even possible? It's not possible, is it?
No, it's not. But see, that's how they know. That's how they know if we got it or not, by our actions, and they're always testing us. And I told some people, be like, I don't know why they got to test us, because we've been mentally conditioned for so long. That it's easy for them to generate income off of us. So they're not going to just sit back and let all that finance just go down the toilet. No, they're going to test each and every one of us, and there's a reason for that, but they're going to test each and every one of us, because if they can just let the finance go one conscious more at a time, rather than just give up everything in one sweep, they're going to go with losing a little bit at a time. And that's why they try to. And that's why they always try to figure out what are we doing, because if they weren't trying to figure out what we are doing, then they wouldn't be able to cut off some of the things we have implemented, because they know if we can wake up more Moors, the amount of Moors that they're going to be losing income from is going to grow very fast. That's why, it's not and that's why we keep telling Moors, it's not your job to educate these people who presume to put themselves in a position of knowing law. It's not your job. It is your job to hold them to the Constitution. Like you never tell these people your strategy. You just implement it. And that's interesting, because there's a case law to help with that support of what you just said. It says those who are officers of the court are not. What is it? They're not exempt. They're not immune to the liability, because they are supposed to know law. They are deemed to know the law. So here you are trying to, now this is interesting, here we are trying to, like you said, convince them of law. No, we're supposed to know it. That's what we should be confident in. Then when we approach anything, it doesn't matter what it is, we already approach it from that position. We're not trying to teach them law. I mean, it's their obligation, but it is also ours. So it is also our obligation to what?
know that they're not government, that they're corporations, because there's a case law that says that these government entities are nothing but corporations. They have no parity with the real.
Yeah.
Right? They can only issue to other corporations. And so when you issue or have them issue you an identification card, well, you're saying that you are under the jurisdiction. Now, what is that jurisdiction? Interesting to know. Besides, it's a corporation, and when they seem to act as if they're government, they're acting under English law, which is not American law, which is definitely not for you. Definitely not. And you have to know that. Now, like you said, by not knowing it, they know you don't know it by the words and the things that you say and or do not say. And therefore they say, okay, let's reel some more in because this is our finances, because we don't produce anything. We produce nothing. We thrive and live off of their virtues and their ignorance at the same time. And we got to make sure that, we can continue with doing that. So we're going to scare them into continuing to believe that we are, in fact, government and that this is a law. It's not a law. So,
yeah.
So this issue that we're discussing and the way in which the Sister Jayana wrote this, and like I said, it's still in edit. We are going to put it up on the Food for Thought as soon as it's finalized. But the points in here and the point being made is so relevant. It's so important. So what she says, because it's very short. Did you find it?
I did find it, but you know what? I also want to say something before we read it.
Okay.
I think I thought it was like the receipt from your website, and I almost accidentally deleted it. But I want to just really say something here because, and we say this all the time, and people really miss it a lot of times. We can constantly say, look, pay attention, hear what I'm saying. These entities are corporations, all right? The government that was sanctioned by the Constitution, which is the supreme law of this land, is the Union State, as well as the United States, which is supposed to be staffed by the Moors. But since the Moors are in the process of waking up and taking their seats, nobody is sitting in the seats of the United States. So the United States of America is speaking on behalf of the Moors. And many Moors are just too busy fighting amongst themselves to even tell them, hey, look, you can't speak on our behalf. Shut up. You can only speak for the United States of America. But that's not quite, that's part of the issue. But the major issue is that even the Union State, they are a corporation. So this Constitution is talking to all corporations. All corporations. And we got to know that these corporations, like the 14th Amendment, interestingly, my daughter is studying, they're talking about the Constitution in the college, not the high school, not the elementary school, in the college, and not all college courses, but some of them. But interestingly enough, she was telling me how in her class they are going through the Constitution, and the teacher told them that, some of the rights of the people is preserved in the 14th Amendment. And I said, no, it's not. I said, the 14th Amendment, first of all, is not even valid. It was never ratified, which means it's not law. And I said to her, the 14th Amendment actually is evidence of treason because the 14th Amendment is spoken of in the Black's Law 4th edition, where it defines person. And it says the word person, as used in the 14th Amendment, refers to corporation. Now you have these corporations trying to say, oh, we got nationality, we got rights. You're a freaking corporation. You're not alive. So the 14th Amendment, the reason I say it's evidence of treason is because these government persons, or let me rephrase, public servants whoever wrote the 14th Amendment, whoever is trying to impose the 14th Amendment on any flesh and blood being, they are committing treason because they're trying to elevate a fiction to the same status as a divine being. That's treason. Now, what's also interesting is I got this email. And I kind of glanced at it before we started the show, and then Ron said something that made me say, I got to mention this. Apparently there's some discussion going on about abortion. I believe it's in California, all right? And this anti, look at it. The headline reads, Judge, listen to this. It's so priceless. Judge reminds anti-abortion corporation it is not a person and cannot plead the fifth.
Wait a minute, hold on. Anti-abortion corporation, are they like trying to hold people to something the anti-abortion corporation is trying to do that? Is that what happened?
Yes. It's apparently it's a group of people. The group, it says, California judge says the group cannot decline to testify in a lawsuit against Planned Parenthood. And they're trying to say, Planned Parenthood is a person, and Planned Parenthood pleads the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
Planned Parenthood is a corporation. And I want to say that if anybody has done even a little bit of research about Planned Parenthood, you will find that Planned Parenthood was established by a European daughter to sterilize the Asiatic sister so that the population would diminish. Of course, that didn't happen. But you got to understand.
We are fruitful and multiply.
Yes, you got to understand the history of a lot of things that we participate in because, and that's where that saying, if you don't know your past, you'll never know your future. If you don't know from the past the history of these corporations, if you don't know from the past who is who and what is what, you'll never know your future. Never, because if the majority of Asiatic people today think that they were the slaves, they think that the Willie Lynch was imposed upon the melanated people, they think that all of the atrocities that were imposed on the people that were called slaves was Asiatic people, when that's absolutely not true. The word slave comes from the word Slavic, and that's not us. So, and you have to. And the other thing that they talked about, it was it was so amazing because we went through the Constitution, and they talked about somebody in the class asked from the First Amendment. From the first article of the Constitution, what were they talking about when they spoke of 3/5? And yes, and the instructor said that he said it right. He said that they wanted to include the slaves in their count, but the North was saying, no, you can't include your slaves because you never spoken of them in terms of people. You've always spoken of them in terms of property. And so now my daughter is hearing this story, and she's thinking it was the Moors, the unconscious Moors, the Asiatics, the melanated people, and I had to tell her no. And it's right in the congressional record that those people that they were talking about were not the melanated, copper-colored people. It was the modern Europeans. And the way it went was, and I know this is kind of a digress, but the way it went is the South said, we want to include our slaves in the head count of population. because if they included the slaves, then their numbers would be higher. They'd be able to send more people to Congress to represent them. Remember, Congress was already in full swing. They were just sending representatives to represent them because they are under a representative form of government, all right, not the Moors.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Are.
Let me put a pin in for those who didn't know that. They can go right to the Forgotten Scrolls page and read the Articles of Association, and right there you'll see the proof that Congress is already in session. All right, go ahead.
Yes, exactly. So when they said they could send more representatives, but they could also have a lower tax obligation because taxes are apportioned, meaning it's based on the number of people. So the more people you have, the less your taxes would be. So those were their main reasons for wanting to include the slaves. Now, you got to know that the they that we're referring to, those are the brutish Moors. Those are the melanated Moors of Great Britain, all right? So the Moors of the North said, if you're going to include your slaves, which you've always considered to be property, we're going to include our tables, our chairs, our cups,
Yep.
And so to solve it, they said, okay, well, whatever number each side comes up with, we're going to take only 3/5 of that number.
Right.
Which that still does equate
to someone without a name or without a nationality, though.
Yes, because exactly, because and it was interesting because in the first article it tells you who can be members of the Union state. It says those indentured servants who are free and those indentured servants who are still under contract, so to speak, meaning they're slaves. And then it says that the Indians that are not from here, they are excluded from paying taxes. Now, a lot of Moors want to call themselves Indians to be excluded, but those Indians that they're referring to are the East Indians, not the Moors of this land.
Hold on. I got to put a pin in it. You're right, because they're right. But they would know what Hindustan that they would call. But you're right, because even in the recent naturalization process that Michelle Obama spoke in, she was clever. She named or called out some of those
couple of Hindustani.
Right. She's like giving you the clues. But go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. So this is, and look, and it is this information that we need. And it was so funny because my daughter was like, I felt just like you. She said, Mommy was right, as she's listening to her instructor. Mommy was right. And then she started questioning them, and she said, Ma, when I started questioning them, I felt like you.
Like mother, like daughter, right?
Yeah, so I say that to say this, once again, really, you got to know that these institutions that they have established today, they're not institutions of learning. They're daycare centers. They're daycare centers. They're not teaching your child to do nothing but be a revenue generator in one form or another. So if you are not diligently, and this is for you mothers because y'all are the teachers. You all you mothers, you are the teachers. Your primary teaching begins in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Because for example, and I'll give you an example, and I'm not trying to impose this on anybody, but if you are a strict vegetarian, before you get pregnant, because, see, a lot of stuff that we're doing is supposed to happen before you even conceive. So if you are a strict vegetarian before you conceive, and you are a strict vegetarian throughout the entire pregnancy, and then you have that child will not be able to tolerate anything but food that comes from that strict vegetarian teaching that they got in the womb.
That's right. That's a fact. And that's even now true with people when they really think about it. Whatever they ate, especially something they ate a lot, their child comes out already liking that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that only makes sense, doesn't it? That's why the first school is the womb.
It is the womb, and you got to know that. And I said it is the woman. That's why we all got to know that, and that's why you sons. I know that there's a lot of sons out there that are really trying to help the mother wake up and do their part. But the biggest thing that you can do is wake up a sister, because as long as she is asleep, the next generation is going to come here asleep. So we sisters and you sons, we can't just focus on now. We got to think of now in terms of tomorrow, because whatever you're focusing on right now is what you're creating and manifesting tomorrow. And the prophet already told us what we're supposed to be focusing on in terms of tomorrow, the young and the yet unborn.
That's right. Yeah.
So in order for us to really make an impact on tomorrow, we gotta go on a campaign to help wake mother up, so she can begin to teach once again good things from the womb.
The good being. That's right. That's what it's all about. The good being.
And then whenever they come up with certain things like, and there's some mothers out there that's already doing that, because there's some children that'll, they'll try and trick the child in school by saying certain things, and the child will say, no, that's not the true history, and they'll start running it down.
Yeah, but then that child's labeled.
But they might be labeled, but still, because the mother and the child, and even in some cases the son, who's assisting mother, they are all of one accord. It doesn't even trouble them, and because I know there's Brother Sim, I believe they have something like that going on in his area. And, they might want to trouble them, but they're two together. And this is why, mothers and sons, you got to know your places. And you can't be getting pissy mad because she is the man. For real. She is the man. You gotta know that and accept it. She is the man. You are the son. You are a son of man. You can't be the man and son of man at the same time. As long as you're fighting that reality, you're susceptible to attack by these modern Europeans. Just like in the Matrix, it said, if you're not one of us, you're one of them. If you're fighting the truth that she is the man and you're a son of man, you're not one of us. You're one of them. And that's just the way it is. You will open the door some way, somehow, and let them come in and destroy her, because you're coming from ego. If for us to be one nation, united, everybody got to accept their position. Mother is the man, son is the son of man, and she's the one that's having the children, and she's the one that is because she is building that child. That's what is it? What is it called, Ron? Solomon's what? Solomon's temple.
Solomon's temple is Solomon's temple, and the mother is building the temple in her womb.
Exactly. So now, for a lot of you sons out there trying to hook up with a temple, a lot of these temples are trying to take mother out. If you know that she is the temple, and it is within her that the soul, the flesh is built onto that soul, and it is done without the tools. It's actually done in the mind. It's done without the chisel or the hammer. It's done with the mind, her mind. Because she came here with all the necessary eggs to build a nation.
She came here with the eggs.
It's in her womb. So,
right.
This is
the thing. She came with the nation already in her womb. This is the reason why we say that there will be no son that can build a nation. That can't and will not happen, cannot happen. That's just machinations of their mind. And that's just the truth. Because she's already here with the nation in her womb. What are you talking about? So if you're not building her or assisting her because she is a slave, all right, then you're not building the nation, brother, and it's just that simple.
Yeah.
And you can't get around that. And the code that you're talking about that they use in some of the Masonic orders, and which means mother and son, by the way, and they probably have other codes they use in different fraternities. But it is the grand architect built Solomon's temple. Now just look at that line. They didn't say the mother built the soul of man's temple. It's coded. The grand architect of the body is she. And she built Solomon's temple in the darkness, in the silence, with no hands and no tools. That's the woman. Now, you can think anything you want, but you cannot change that truth right there, be it coded or not coded. That's the truth. So the nation is in her womb. And chapter 2 sons know this, and they raise up the nation by raising up her, waking her up. And how many times have we said that we will see in the past, anyway, it's getting better. It's getting a lot better now that women are waking up, sisters are waking up, mothers are waking up. But the sons will be out in classes and activities and being active, but they can be no more active than the woman, because this is why they have that was coming out of what they call the Temple of Islam, which later called themselves the Nation of Islam, but they were originally the Temple of Islam after the breakup and infiltration of the Prophet's work. A bunch of people came up, and one of them was the Temple of Islam began. That was later changed to the Nation of Islam. And they say, no, the nation cannot rise any higher than its women. So now that being true, and they saying that, but at the same time, then we can't suppress that. That's just the truth. So against this, it's all on you. It's not hidden that it's all on you. It's not hidden. It's just waking you up or not waking up. Now they have. Remember, we saw this picture depicted a rendition. I would guess a new rendition, maybe, or old, but of the woman on the ground and the son standing in front of her or atop her, and having a sword hidden in his sleeve, like ready to cut her head off again. Well, I found out, and this is very interesting, sisters, that you've got a group of sons that are perpetrating this, and the reason they're doing it is they're saying that, well, if she wakes up, she could do this to us again. That they're indicating that possibility, which is really what is called the wrath of Allah. So she is the wrath of Allah to that extent, because this is our responsible for all things, all beings that come into this earth's plane and into and make up society. And you can't stop running. You must stop running from that fact. So now you have some sons who are afraid, and rightfully so. Of course, the word "afraid" is not in their in their definition, because they, as far as they're concerned, they're not afraid of anything. But they are concerned of that. That is that she will wake up and do the same things that she's been doing while unconscious, but consciously do it. So this is how strong the energy and the duties of the sister is. So, wake up, because they're ready. They're supposed to cut your head off again. Your own sons are supposed to cut your head off again if you don't act right. I mean, that's what they're doing, because, remember, they're wired to fight in competition, and that's what they do. That's how they see it. They analyze this thing, and they realize that it would be you that would destroy them. We all know that the thing that can destroy the whole nation is a woman. I mean, we've got to start running. So, with that, did you? Yeah, it's just the truth, and we need to know it so we can make it a better place, right? And bring in better beings, vibrate on a higher level, and bring in better beings. teach that.
And you know what? You're right. And also, you know, sons especially, mothers too, need to recognize that, look, she's taking sons out right now, and she's not awake.
Yeah.
All right? Because what do you think? That whole child support system was designed for her to take you out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one area. The prison system, that's designed for her to take you out because she knows it. Look, if you're the soldier, you're the ones that's supposed to protect the family. But if she doesn't know that you're the son of man and you're here to protect her, and both of you are just looking to, you know, get into a relationship, you know, just for sexual gratification, you know, not for the good of the nation, just for, you know, dumb sexual gratification. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, Sister Anna, don't say that. But it is. All of this sexual gratification that's going on today is so dumb because it's taking out our nation, and it's happening on both sides. And, you know, because the son doesn't want to recognize that, look, she's the man, all right? She's the man. She's got all the power, whether she's conscious of it or not. Because the modern Europeans know that if they can twist her mind, she will make sure that every son will end up in the prison. And because she's so out of her mind, she doesn't even recognize it is to her detriment if all the sons end up in prison. Because if she's in this damsel in distress mindset, she's not physically capable of defending herself. She is physically capable, but if she's in this damsel in distress mindset, she's not capable. So if all of the sons are taken out and put in these prisons, once all of that is done, they're coming for her. But they was always coming for her. And that's why it's very imperative that both mother and son wake up, stop getting all egotistic, you know, getting in all in your feelings and your emotions and everything. Get out of that and know that you're here. Your purpose here and now is to secure the future generation. It ain't got nothing to do with you. Get out of that ego mindset. When I say it ain't got nothing to you, get out of that ego mindset. It's got everything to do with the work you're here to do now to secure the future. That's what it's about.
Listen, you know, when you said something about lower self, let's put this into its proper perspective by going to the Chapter 7 Holy Quran and reading what we call Chapter 1, but really it's the creation and fall of man. And it says here, you know, so we can understand what this lower self is about. It says, hold on. Without a foe, a soldier, now remember what the foe is, okay? Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Now let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast. But he gave up his birthright just to gratify his lower self. But man will, listen to this, but man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. So once one conquers their lower self, or even tramples over any foe, you know, or goes through any conflict, you know, you really, it's the experience that you have that you later are trying to express in words, but it just can't be expressed in words. It's a conflict that can't be expressed in words because it already happened, and now you're trying to express it in words, but the actual conflict and the conquering of it didn't happen that way. So it's very hard for sometimes, especially for brothers, to explain, you know, like when when they are able to control their lower self when we deal with it from a sexual position, because they've actually extorted humanity with lower self activity. It's everywhere. They've extorted and taken the beauty out of what it is all about. So
yeah,
that's kind of hard for the ego. You know what I mean?
But yes, now, and that's a mental conditioning. I just want to say one thing. I'm not saying, I want you all to hear me, I'm not saying that sex is ugly. I'm not saying you should not engage in it. I'm not saying it's dumb. I'm saying the mentality or the mental outlook that we have been conditioned to participate today regarding the proper respect of ourselves, our holy temple, has been degraded to this stupid way that we look at each other. Especially, and it's very prevalent in the way that the son looking at and treating mother. It's very degrading. Very degrading.
Every woman knows that, and we even, it's become part of the culture to stand them down, either in some, sort of playing it off in some joking way or whatever like that. I mean, it's just so obvious that it's right there,
Yes, and see, that's one of the, when the prophet said, go back to your mindset of your foremothers and forefathers, that's another area that we need to go back to and look at how we interacted. Because I know when I look back, I don't see where the son, or the mother for that fact, ever degraded each other in this way, using sex.
Yeah.
It was just not, it's not a part of our history. We had the proper respect. And, we got, actually, you know what, our brothers over in the East, they still function a lot of that way. They do not hook up based on nothing but astrology. All right? And they're not the ones doing the picking.
Well, they're still not the ones doing the picking, even if
usually it's like an elder, a wise person who will look at your astrological components, and you are hooked up with somebody who has a harmonious, who will bring harmony to that energy coming in, as well as help you to grow into your life purpose on both sides. The Orientals, they don't make a move without astrology spinning the wheel. We ought to be doing the same thing. And I can tell you, especially for our Hindustani brothers, or I should say our Hindustani sons, look, they don't even think of getting involved with a sister, a mother, unless they can financially take care of them. They don't even do that. And I'll ask, because I've never seen it. I've rarely seen a Hindustani sister pregnant working out in the community. Very rarely have I ever seen that, because they understand the science. Right? They understand the science. They understand the energy. Our sons over here, they talk about, I know about the astrology this and the astrology that and this. But I'm going to stay home and work. I'm going to stay home. You go out and work because, women can get jobs. She's pregnant out there working, all right? That means that all sorts of energy is floating around that child.
You mean while she's pregnant?
While she's pregnant, because we don't know our history yet. The prophet said, go back to the mindset of your foremothers and your forefathers. What do you think he was talking about? I mean, he really meant across the board.
Right. But really. See, and the point is that when you see, you're right, those women, they when they're pregnant, they don't expose themselves to those energies. They protect their pregnancy because they know that everything affects while they're building Solomon's Temple, everything that they do, see, hear, feel affects the outcome of that body that they in. Yeah.
And you hardly, and one last thing, you hardly see them having their children in the hospital. Yet, they came over from Hindustan, what they today call India. Where are they having the babies? They having babies. Where they having the babies? I don't know of no Hindustani hospital around here.
Well, a lot of them are doctors in there now, but
yes,
if you go, but it depends, because see, a lot of people are being indoctrinated to this so-called, to United States of America corporation way. I don't like to say to the American way, and that's another thing. We need to stop saying, oh yeah, well that's the American way, or American.
It's not. It's the European. It's the English way.
No, it is not the English way. And that's our problem, is that we don't know the distinction. So we trust that after this class today, we will know the distinction of what's American and what is not, or what the United States of America is, and corporations that are established underneath it, and the quasi-national states that comprise it. They're all quasi-national, and you're national. So right there, that tells you that you're dealing with national and international law, which is common law, is the American national constitution, and they're not. They're dealing with code, statutes, and ordinances that they've established, and they've told you that it was law and government, but it wasn't. But see, that wouldn't have been a problem if we knew what was, which is why the prophet said enforce the American Constitution. I don't care how much these people in some of these temples want to say he was talking about the divine law and constitution. Yes, he was talking about that, because in the institution, if you followed that, you were made a better person or citizen, national, to come out into societies, because that's what he was teaching your government. So, yes, you would enforce that as members of that institution, no doubt, no diggity, and that will prepare you. But he clearly says in his writings that when you are asked to answer up to your nationality and you don't, then you will be mistreated and abused in any way that the other citizens wish to. So, not being able to discern what clearly is there is just an indication of lack of study or lack of guidance or infiltration or a combination of all, and, none of that is good. So, So I want to get into that now. Everything that you said, and even when you went into the mental deprivation of the strongest energy we have, which is creative energy, which is sex is it. That's why they have orgies all the time in their stuff, in their little programs. But that is the destruction of family. So if they can destruct the mother against the son, men against women, if they can do that, they can degrade you there, then everything else falls apart. Then they can introduce these other things. So let's talk about where we are today, because this is brazen. And the only reason that they're putting this out now is because they have to see how many of us are still going for the program. It is so blatant that if you don't get this, you're just not going to get it. And you're going to become the numbers in the corporate states, citizens/members, to be taxed. In the story. So don't even complain about the taxing from these people who were taxing you out of everything and stealing everything, because you are chattel property to a corporation. Therefore, and let's make this clear too before we get into this. This is important, because everyone is now talking about what's going to happen on October the 30th or something. First it was September, then it's October. All that's going to happen is the corporations are going to liquidate. They're going to be dissolved. Now, as they are being now. Now, you have to think what happens when a corporation is dissolved. It's really not rocket science. they liquidate their assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what they? All right. So if you are a party to, a member of a corporate entity, all right, or a corporate state, or a corporation of any kind, then you are to be liquidated. So to ask why they're taking your stuff through some process, hidden of taxes or fines or whatever it may be, the reason they're doing it is because they're in the process of liquidating and you happen to be their property. It's not,
yes.
I mean, that is just what's going down. So another reason to declare your national status and your status, meaning your relationship to the community, which is not a member/citizen of a corporate quasi-national domicile. It's not even rocket science. And people want to know, well, I got to learn, no, you got to unlearn what you, really, you never even learned that. Everything was put before you as an offer that you simply accepted without even thinking about it. So it's not even learned stuff. That's why when you get it as it is supposed to be, or as it is, it seems so profound to you because you never even considered the simplicity of it all. So just what was just said, it's just simple. They're liquidating. They're falling. Now, we need to stop being so concerned about what they're doing and be more concerned about what we're doing.
Yes.
Because, again, it's all going to be in the hands of the Aboriginal Indigenous people, which are the more American nationals. I mean, really, if that's what you are. But if that's what you are not, you will continue to be a party to the liquidation. And so,
exactly,
mention the 501Cs and how they're taking them back. Have we not for years told people do not get 501Cs, do not get a 501C, because it's issued under a corporation, so therefore anything that it has that will also be liquidated. First, they'll rob you of everything openly, and you're wondering why, under the guise of tax. Then, as they fall, so do you. If they're calling in the corporations, everything established from it, and that would include those 501Cs, well, they're going to be cashed in too. Now what, are you going to say you can't operate whatever it is that you offer to society because you don't have a 501C from these corporations that you never needed in the first place? So do not be surprised about what's happening. Just know what is happening. And get your status straight right now. Declare it. Declaring it means you have to be clear yourself, because a lot of people will say, well, now what do I do? I don't know. What do I do? I'm like, all right, you're asking me how. You're asking me to tell you how to be who it is you say you are. I mean, clearly that means that you don't quite really understand why you even declared your nationality. You don't know why you have a national ID. Identification, a Little American identity. You don't know any of that, but you do know that you need to do something. As the King Alfred says, you know something's wrong. So we hope to make it real simple, but the problem that is still there is the mental conditioning that you won't let go of the fact that these people aren't government. So every time we even say, oh, yeah, that's my government name. You can stop saying that because they're not government. They never were.
Exactly. It's right. It's a nom de guerre. It's a nom de guerre, and that's what people need to refer to it as. But you also need to know what a nom de guerre is. Just don't, on the name correction it says nom de guerre, so I'm calling it a nom de guerre, but you don't know what a nom de guerre is or what it means. Well, also, you got to go and look that up.
Yeah, the straw name. Yeah, straw name and nom de guerre really isn't what it is. I mean, straw name and government name, I guess is the other one. That's really not what it is. Nom de guerre, proper terminology and definition, because the nom de guerre means a fictitious name, a war name, a fictitious name, a name assumed for a time. Well, all three of pick any one of them, and that's what it's about. Wherever you are in your studies, you will, any one of those is the meaning of a nom de guerre, and we're in all three of them, but, we're prisoners of war in our own land, especially with this new jail system they have. It is a fictitious name because it was established under that birth certificate, which is void ab initio. And your mother didn't do that. We were talking about that yesterday. And it is a name assumed for a time. If you are aware at this time that it is in fact a name that was assumed, and you are going to correct it. So either one is fine. But now all of this was to gear us up towards their plan. And their plan is being shaken up a little bit, but this child ID is one of their, I would say, I would trust that it would be their last-ditch effort to get mothers to put their child in the status of a corporate chattel property. I will hope this is their last, and the reason I say that because this is brazenly obvious, but not to those who don't know. So it's it's brazen. So let me just read this real quick here, and we can comment over it, all right? Yes. First of all, this was written by Jayana Bay. It is still in edit, but we're going to read what we have, and we are going to put it up on the Food for Thought page at the RV Bay Publication website. But she says, this is a call out to all mothers. I felt compelled to reach out and share the truth behind this new so-called child identification card and why it is important that you do not get yourself or your child involved in this act of human trafficking. I trust after reading this article, you as parents, well, especially as mothers, will know better and therefore will do better. So, nationality definition is that quality or character which arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or a state. That's Black's Law Dictionary, fourth edition. Now, I want you all that are listening, if you got a piece of paper or if you've got a great mental mind, I want you to put a pin in the fact that it says belonging to a nation or state. State. You know what nation is? State. Well, maybe you don't know what nation is, so here's the definition of nation. Natio, birth, a race of people from natus, to be born, a body of people inhabiting the same country or united under the same sovereign or government. Now, remember, sovereignty comes from your being born, your nationality. So now, keeping in mind the pin that I asked you to put in state, because it says belonging to a nation or state. State definition, or permanently occupying a fixed territory bound together by common law, habits, and customs into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government. Put a pin in organized government. You got a pin in state, you got a pin in organized government. Let me finish reading the definition. Through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty, and control they have over all persons and things within its boundaries. Put a pin in within its boundaries. Capable of making war and peace and of entering into international relations with other communities of the globe. That definition is out of Black's Law, and it has a case law that's supported in the United States versus Cush, DCCAL 56F, Supra 201, 207, 208. Now, modern Europeans occupy the American land, bound by organized government. So now you can erase organized government. That I asked you to put a pen in. All right? Excuse me. They occupy the American land as a state. All right? So state, bound by the organized government, which is described as the American National Constitution, the law of the land. Of the land. Remember, they're occupying a fixed territory of the land, of the American land. Their card is supposed to help. And their identification card that these modern Europeans occupying the land, which are a state, their card is supposed to help in case a child comes up missing, etc., of which they themselves are doing the kidnapping of the child by way of unsanctioned codes, statutes, ordinances, and child service agencies that they've established. As for their ID card, if the child was to get lost, it does not indicate his or her true birth parents and how to contact them. It does indicate the child belongs to the corporate state, i.e. Virginia or whatever union state colony you think you are in. And we said Virginia because the sample on here that you can't see is a sample of a card from Virginia. So, and it's interesting, we have a little Moabite child on there. Oh, yeah, they're definitely targeting you to get this, all right? And where it says, where there would be a signature, it says unable to sign. Well, I guess so. Your child can't sign. That's why in the true identification card, if you did get one for your child, it would be signed by who? The mother. And that's why we tell people who say they want an identification for their child, we tell them that the mother has to sign it. Now, a lot of times it's sons that'll call us wanting to get IDs for their child, and we tell them sorry. But in all laws, international and national, and in all of the supports, it is the condition of the mother that determines the child. So, unfortunately, if you have a mother who is the ward of the state, she'll undo everything that you do as a son. And if she doesn't agree that the child should be or is a national, then guess what? They will be on her side all day long against you, and vice versa. If the father of the child is not, quote unquote, father of the child is not conscious, then they will use you, father, you son, against her who is conscious. Now, you got to see that, like you said earlier, this is their way of the dividing. And now this child ID is definitely proof of their desperation and need to count up how many mothers will be, I want to say stupid enough, but I don't want to call anybody stupid, will be that uneducated, unknown to what government is.
Uninformed.
Huh?
Yeah, uninformed.
That they would actually get one of these so-called child IDs. I mean, this is it. This is where the rubber meets the road, sisters that are listening, and any friends that you may talk to. Once they get this right here, if they still don't get it, it's not for them to have it. It's just not going to go down, and don't worry about it. So now, as we're saying, this instrument they have that they're calling a child ID completely takes mother out of the picture. Thus, it completely takes the nationality out of the child, which makes the child stateless and with no national or international laws to protect them. So if you think you're protecting your child with this, you're not.
No.
Now, right, you want to comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I know, and I'd be interested to know, in these applications, because, all of these, well, they're trying to act like a contract, but they're missing all of the relevant elements of a contract. So I would be interested to know how. Okay, because if you have a child that is not of age, how is this application to be completed? Because even if they're saying you have to have a state identification card, most state identification cards are for so-called adults.
Well, they'll probably issue it. They'll probably issue it off of the birth certificate instrument bond.
But wait a minute, hold on. Pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say with that, keep this in mind. Pretty soon, and don't be surprised, they'll have this card issued at every birth at the age of whatever by law or by, no, excuse me, did I say by law?
By policy.
Excuse me. Yep. And that's why they're introducing it now, so that it can become commonplace later. That's what
slow walk. They're slow walking the people into a jurisdiction that they're not even aware of. Because here's the thing, the birth certificate, the only thing the birth certificate shows is that the mother, because see, everything is based on the mother. It shows that the mother has given up her rights to the county. That's the whole definition of in loco parentis.
Yeah.
They have you put down. Look now. How can you prove this? Because I know there's a lot of sons out there. They're like, oh, that's not the case. Da 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 da. Really, I have never ever, and somebody correct me, but I have never ever seen a birth certificate where only the father was listed.
Doesn't happen. Hey, look, they might start that. Well, I don't know how they could possibly do. Well,
they added now, and see. Remember, it used to be that the name of it still is the name of the nom de guerre or whatever, however the father is being referred to, it still ain't necessary on the birth certificate. But I tell you what is the mother's name.
But they do. I see. Listen, they've changed. Check this out. They've changed their birth certificates because some people say that there's a footprint or a thumb or a footprint. But like I know that I've seen birth.
No, that's not the birth certificate. When the child is born, they give you that footprint document from the hospital, and it's from that you can go and get a Social Security card because you don't have the birth certificate yet. But my point with what I'm saying, the point with what I'm saying is, in harmony with in loco parentis, the mother is the one that has to relinquish her rights to the child. So if you get the birth certificate and you take that to get a so-called state identification card, once again, the mother is relinquishing her rights to the child.
Well, it says right here, it said that's what we just read. The instrument completely takes the mother out of the picture, thus completely takes the nationality.
Exactly.
But now, let me just say this. Oh, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. I was saying that, in so many ways, they're always saying, look, we're coming after the mother. And we'll go through anyone to get to the mother. So we'll make it appear as though we're coming after the son when in reality we're coming after the mother. And here's another example of how they're coming after the mother. They know that to the mother, the sons are very precious. Whether that mother has biologically given birth to that son or that son is a mate. They know that if you go and grab that son, it's going to discombobulate. How about that for a big word? It's going to discombobulate the mind of mother. She is going to be so frantic. She won't even be able to think straight because the son is always precious to mother. Always. So they know the best way to make mother to imbalance mother is to attack her son. That doesn't mean that she doesn't care about her daughter, but mothers have a special place for the son.
Because he's the miracle child. Yeah. Absolutely. Because he was a female. The egg is female. There's no male egg, and that's another fact that cannot be disputed. So when it mutated in the womb, which was done in the womb, which they still can't figure out to this male specimen of a being, they're still trying to figure out how that happened. So this is why they are called the miracle son, and that's a beautiful thing. But that's the truth about that. Now I do want to say this. just to show you how, and listen closely, sisters. Some of you are of different ages or whatever, or you can go ask someone older or whatever, just to show you how they continue to change these things. When children were born back in, say, the 80s, late 80s, what they did from the hospital, after you had them born and you had the birth certificate, they, in their documentation they gave you, they said you have 5 years. And I know because I received it, so I know. You have 5 years to obtain a SSN number for this child. They gave you 5 years. Now I hear they're doing it right away. Right away you have to apply for a SSN for the child. Now they're also right away giving the child or proposing this child ID under the state. Because all that stuff is under the when we say state, we're talking quasi-national state. Making that clear. And one other thing that I just noticed on this sample card, and this is also interesting, it has the birthday 2005. And guess when the expiration date is? Well, first of all, an identification should never have any expiration. That's number one. So that shows you it's an issuance, right? So now the expiration is 2021. Do the math when they're 16, which is the age of emancipation. So by that time, oh man, that is hot. By that time, they were so indoctrinated. If mothers allow their children to continue to be indoctrinated into quasi-national stuff and quasi-national government and quasi-national corporations, by the time the child's 16, they just won't follow suit with it. And you know what I'm saying?
They won't question nothing. They'll just follow along.
Hey, they'll probably send something saying, it is time for you to update your state ID, and then give them the opportunity to, still emancipate themselves. Isn't that something? That is interesting. I just was looking at it and saw that. That's as interesting as the picture of the child and then saying unable to sign. Like, really? The newborn's going to be unable to sign? I guess so. But the point is, if they can indoctrinate the child and the mother into this system and into having faith in this system, that's all that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all that they're trying to do. And they're successful at it, or they will be as successful at it as mother allows them to be.
That's right.
So now they've got this thing where they've got the so-called father of the child pushing the baby stroller, because he has rights to the child. Because first of all, they're not going to get along because they got together for what we call the rising or ascendant. They're rising or ascendant, meaning what someone looked like that appealed to your libido, you know what I mean, appealed to you sexually. So you got together for the rising, that what it looks like, and so you not necessarily have the capacity to even stay together in a relationship at all.
Yes.
You're not relating except for on the level of the sexual desire. So it's going to fall apart, and they know that. And they've done the propaganda for that already, and it's going to fall apart, and it does. So now it's a double-edged sword that they're using, because if the mother who knows that the brother who sparked that egg, because that's all the sperm did was spark the egg that she already had, if she knows that it was a lay-down thing and he doesn't care about her, but she cares about her child, she's going to go ahead and have her child rather than abort it, and she's going to go forth as mother. But then they tell her, well, if you don't tell us who the father is, we're not going to give you these benefits.
Assistance.
Yes, an assistance. So
that is rightfully yours.
Yeah, now they're pulling in a 19-year-old so he can say, well, and then there's some fathers who, want to do that. And then he's pushing a baby carriage on a 3-month-old, and it absolutely has no place. That child should be at the breast of his mother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to allow them to disenfranchise the family like that, that's what it is all about. So now, again, continuing on, they just are trying to continue to be, locus parentis to the children that they make finance off of. Now, here's what's interesting.
Parentis, yep.
That's it.
And you know what's interesting, just what's interesting, that's why, everybody, you all need to watch that movie, The Matrix, again. Because right in there, it says that they're creating another crop.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Yeah. And that's what these corporations are doing. They're creating another crop of revenue generation. Revenue generators. That's what's happening. And because we're so caught up in all of this lower self-activity, whether it's, hooking up with a son or hooking up with a mother or, dressing in what is perceived to be the latest fashion, whatever the case may be, because we're all caught up in it, they can take advantage of us very easily, manipulate us and the future generation. And we don't even see it.
That's what they're doing. Yeah. So now check this out.
We don't see it, and yet, look, they got us thinking. Look at how this for crazy reverse psychology. They got us thinking that because we're sending our children to these institutions so that they can be conditioned to be revenue generators, we're looking out for the best interest of our child. How about that for some crazy reverse psychology?
So let's check this out. Let's finish this. This is really interesting here because we refer back to the nationality definition, which says that a person belongs to either a nation or a state. Now, we just went through what the difference is, right? Their IDs, these IDs, or what they're calling IDs, are prima facie evidence. Let me say that again. Prima facie evidence, meaning on its face, just by looking at it, that the child belongs to a state foreign or a foreign state that's occupying the land. Go back to the definition of state, a people permanently occupying a fixed territory. So they're occupying a fixed territory on the American land, issuing identification cards that can be nothing but issued from them. And you're saying, no, I'm not on the American land state. No. I'm on the quasi-national state, quasi-national domicile. You've got to understand the difference. So these IDs are prima facie evidence that your child is under the jurisdiction of a foreign state occupying the land.
Yes.
Let's clear this up because we get confused. We sit back and say, well, we're foreign to them. Yeah, you are. But more than that, since you're on your own land, they're foreign to you. So you know they're foreigners, and then you're going to sit back and actually take into consideration their homeland security when they don't really have a homeland because they are a state occupying a fixed territory of someone else's homeland, which would be us. Now, this is so important for us to clear this up so we can understand that they are operating under English law, that they're operating in that fixed territory. But what is the supreme law of the land? And that's why Article 6 is there. And it says that they can create any statutes, ordinance, whatever they want to call law, that they wish to. But the moment they do, they create one that abrogates, which means violates the already established rules of engagement in this American National Constitution, which was written for them to follow, then that statute, rule, ordinance has no standing with you, right? Because you are on the American land as a national domicile, not on a state occupying the American land, which is a quasi-national domicile. But you said earlier, they're getting you to come into their numbers. They're getting you to come into their numbers by admitting to being a resident of the state, by admitting your child with an ID from the state. And on the back of the ID, one of these IDs, this was an Ohio example, it clearly says State of Ohio identification card. You can't have a State of Ohio identification card. You can't.
And to have so is in violation of the original 13th Amendment. It's also in violation of Article 1 of the American Constitution, because the only people that can be members of the Union State does not include the Aboriginal Indigenous people. It can only be for indentured servants, freed or still under servitude. And those people are the people that is referred to as Negro, colored, black. But they had to get the Aboriginal Indigenous people to start calling themselves Negro, colored, black. And there you have the trading.
Go ahead. I mean, it couldn't have been made so clear. When you just said indentured slaves, and then you watch the movie, which one was it? Django, I think it was, or maybe it was 12 Years a Slave. The European clearly says he's an indentured slave, right? They're giving you to include.
Yes, it was 12 years a slave.
Right, 12 years a slave. So they're not even talking, you're right, about the Aboriginal. We're the ones who established the law of the land for them. There's no way but that we could be a part of that. But I realize now that those, and this includes those who are misleading the people in temples, they actually do not recognize that when they say indentured slaves or freed or indentured slaves still in servitude, they actually, and many other people do too, think that they're talking about us. But if they understand the Declaration of Independence that they said, and if they understand the Articles of Association, it would be so clear to them that they are not talking about.
But exactly. But that's exactly why we need to really look. The prophet said, if I can just get you to thinking, you would free yourself. Now, I can tell you, all of those people that's running down to these county corporations, and you're getting a certified or registered copy of a birth certificate, you're not thinking. Because at the beginning and the end of the day, that is a corporation, and that's all those documents are saying, is that you are either a member / employee / what they call it in trust law, oh my gosh, it'll come to me, property. It's not property, but they use another word. And it basically means that you're property of that county corporation. So you are so not thinking if you believe that because you got that piece of paper by showing them fraudulent identification that says you are that entity on that paper, you're so not thinking. And here's the other part that people are not thinking. Everybody's running around talking about, the reset. A reset is coming, and they're going to be liquidating. Well, if you've just sworn that you are that entity, you're going to be sold too. You're going to be liquidated too.
You know, and it's so clear because they're going and saying that they are what that entity is so that they can essentially, whether they realize it or not, expatriate out of it. You know, it's like this. Look, someone said, no, they got us up on the stock market. I said, no, I'm standing right here. They don't have me on the stock market. You know, But I know what they're implying. Well, this is so important. We had the discussion briefly yesterday with Sister Nina, with the sister. That was a wonderful time. But it's like this. Your mother said you were whatever, Stacy, whatever. It doesn't matter. And then they took that, what your mother said, and they put it in all caps, and they made a bond. Now, isn't that simple? What I just said is so simple. Did your mother do that? No. Was your mother aware of it? No. So, for those who think that their mother put them into this position. Think again, because they think that it's a contract. No, a contract has to have full disclosure. So the birth certificate is not a contract. It is a bond that was established by them, not your mother, not by you. And it is an instrument that proves human trafficking, end of story. Why would you take that and believe? Because, you see, the only reason why I think people would take that birth certificate, let's just put it out there, and go do some ridiculous redemption on it, is because they don't have respect for their mother or what nationality is. So you got a bunch of people out there who may or may not have feathers on trying to lead you into the correct manner of getting out of this so-called slavery, when the real deal is your nationality gets you out of it in law. And so what they're doing is they're telling you to go redeem the birth certificate and then essentially expatriate out of the American land into China or Antigua or wherever the heck you might be doing it today. So as you said, you're going and you're admitting first and foremost with the identification that they have issued to you that you are in fact that person. Well, they're setting you up for the liquidation getting ready to come because it's fraud. You can't say that you are that and then say that you are not because you never were that. Now, this is so important, and it goes to the next thing that I want to add, if you will put a pin in your thought for a minute. The next thing, after we say these documents, this identification is prima facie evidence that the child belongs to a foreign state occupying the land. And then the next thing is you just can't get any clearer than that. But just for those who may not know, and this is going to get you thinking about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is what we're going to be doing next. Class, which we were going to be doing this class. Name. Look at the definition of name. And a lot of people will get the definition of name out of Black's Law, and it says the designation of an individual, a person, or of a firm or corporation. Now, hold on. We all know that when they use person in the 14th Amendment, that they say clearly that a person can be a corporation as it is used in the 14th Amendment. So right away, you know you can't use nothing that has to do with the 14th Amendment. So any leaders that are leading you with the 14th and 15th Amendment, just like the prophet said, it is not necessary for the salvation because they're not talking about natural breathing people. And in the definition of person, they tell you that, and they use the 14th Amendment as the example that they're talking about corporations. Now, if you can't get that, you can't think at all. We're just not thinking at all. Because that's one of those things, if I could just get you to thinking. Although the prophet already thought it for you and said, look, that has nothing to do with your salvation. Now, lastly, and then we can move on the examples above of these nationality cards, which, again, you can't see the samples, but you can pull them up. I'm sure everybody has seen them, and we will have this on the site, on the Food for Thought page. It indicates time issued. Hear it now. Time issued and not time of birth. So they have some for newborns, all right? Not time of birth. It says time issued. Now, that says a mouthful because likened to the prints on the footprints and things on the birth certificate bond, human trafficking bond, that was issued by the corporate state and not your mother, all right? They are going to do the same on these new ID cards, wherein it does not indicate nor does it bear any evidence on paper of the mother who gave birth to the child. Because as you said earlier, you may fill out paperwork and they may ask for the father and the mother's name, but when they issue that birth certificate, it's just for that one piece of chattel property, which happens to be your child, and that's what they use as the bond. You aren't even on it. So we must make our own birth records and our own IDs and never allow anyone from a foreign jurisdiction, nation, state, county, township, borough, or municipality ID our children when they are born or have any part in the collusion of the same. Let them tag their own children under English law as subjects and chattel property of corporations, not yours. That's our message for the day. Let them tag their own under these corporations as chattel property and under English law. Do not let them tag yours. And the reason I said tag is because I'm going back a second to the definition of name. As we stated, the designation of an individual person or of a firm or corporation. But a lot of people don't read the fine print in the definition of name. Directly under the definition of name in Black's Law, you'll see in small print, they clearly say on the very first line, the very, very first line of explaining further what name is, they say a person's name consists of one or more Christian or given names and one surname or family name. So a name is not just a tag, a corporate tag, but it's a corporate Christian tag, all right? Because you don't have a name, you have appellations, and that's why. Lastly, to end this intellect here, we put in an important Rights of Indigenous People, Part 2, Article 8. It's clearly said indigenous peoples have the collective and individual rights to maintain and develop their distinct identities and characteristics, including the right to identify themselves as indigenous and to be recognized as such. Islam.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sister Diana. That would be. Mm-hmm. So,
Islam.
are you indigenous? And hold on. After reading all of this and breaking down what a quasi-national state, what a state is, that it is in fact quasi-national, your question is, are you a member/citizen of a state that's occupying your ancestral state land, or are you of the national domicile? That's the question you have to ask yourself, because that's what this is all about. Islam.
Islam. And I just want to just say one thing also about this whole so-called birth certificate redemption. And then, we got like 10 minutes left to the Internet feed, and we haven't taken one call of it. I trust that the information was just riveting. We got a few questions in the chat. We got a few people with their hands up. But I just want to say this, and I could be wrong, but check it out. It's not really relevant because the premise is the same. But on this so-called birth certificate redemption thing that a lot of people are gravitating to, it says that you're taking the birth certificate out of the United States of America and you're putting it in, I think it was Taiwan, something like that. I think it said something to that effect, Taiwan or the Republic of Taiwan, something like that.
There's a few.
But here's the thing. Taiwan, Japan, Taiwan, Japan, and China, all of those are corporations.
Hello.
So effectively what you're doing is you're saying, I want this to be taken out of this corporation for trading and I'm voluntarily putting it into another corporation for trading. Now, how do I know this? Go back and look at the history of what they today call Japan and China. Actually, it's China, which Japan and Taiwan is a part of. That land was actually handled by the Moors, and it was called Manchuria. And the language is Manchurian, all right? And you go back and you will see that the Aboriginal indigenous people of Manchuria was taken over by that corporation that was established called Japan. And that's right in the history. Now, for all you, and we talked about this on a previous show, you got people talking about, well, I'm from Brooklyn, or I'm from Haiti, or I'm from Barbados, Trinidad, Tobago, I'm from Germany. All of those are corporations. All of them. Just like when we had the sister call, I think this past Tuesday, and she said she was African, and then she said, well, I come from Africa. I was like, no, because Africa and even the name of I think the area she comes from, that name was established after the Berlin Conference, which is when a lot of these Corporations came in, colonizers came in, and they divided up the land that is today referred to as Africa into those sections that we today refer to as like Nigeria, Zimbabwe. Those are all corporations.
Hold on. More importantly, just don't forget to inject that at the same time, she also gave up some good information when she said that the father of the child was, she was African, but the father of the child was African American. How did he get to be African American? And here's the answer she gave, which is right, which is what this is all about. She said that's the way he filled out his papers, and that's what we're saying. Yep. This is what we're allowing to be done, mothers.
Exactly. Just like now, what is the relevance of the Berlin Conference? Over here, they did something similar. That's why today people have this misconception that you're going to New York State, or you're going to Virginia, or you're going to Massachusetts, and we got people calling in talking about I'm in the Virginia territory, or I'm in the California territory. Those are corporations. You could never be in that. You could only be at Northwest of Maxim. That's it. And if you're going to be specific, you want to give latitude and longitude, which ties you to the land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why we say Northwest of Maxim, Northwest Africa, because this is as reference and North America. And when you look at it, which is the North Gate, and you're right. So you're not going to use latitude and longitude in terms of mailing. So what you would use, that takes us to the mailing, and why you can't have an address, which is a venue of the corporation. You would have to say care of and then use that mailing location. But always put care of, because it shows that you're not being possessive of that, but you are utilizing that to take mail.
Yes.
And that's why we had someone saying, well, my address it shouldn't have the zip or whatever like that. We're saying it's not an address. It's a care of mailing location. These are the fine things that we need to have in our mind.
Yes. So with that, what we need to do now, since we really got on a roll with this, is, take a couple of calls, and because it's like 5 minutes to 3. And the internet feed is going to go off. Islam?
All right.
Yes. So, Raj, you want to take a caller?
Oh, you want me to take a caller? Oh, right.
It's either almost 3. Yeah.
All right. Do we have any hands that are up? Let me see. I
saw 2.
All right, I'm going to find them because I haven't seen them. I have not seen them yet.
Oh.
Hold on. See them now?
No, because I'm out of the studio right now.
Oh, I see them. Yes, indeed. We have, hold on a moment. Let me clear this out. You know what? Screen is not showing right. Oh, my gosh. Hold on a moment. I can't see all the way to the left to see what number this is. Is this a number 407? Is that?
Well, if you want to make your...
I got it.
If you want to make the screen, you got it? Because you can press Control and the minus sign, and it'll make your screen smaller.
Yeah, but it's still not acting right. I'm still cut off on the left. But I see it. We have 407, ending with 7178. You are now on the air. Did you have a question or comment? 407, 7178, ending. You are now on the air. Oh, right. Obviously, they're not there. So we'll go to 973. Excuse me?
Nope, I'm listening.
Oh, I thought that was them. speaking. Obviously, they're not there, so I have unmuted them, but they're not there. We have 973-0342. You're on the air. Do you have a question or comment?
Greetings, Sister Roz, Sister N.J.L, Carol Bay, Northwest of Metro. Islam. I look so forward to these monthly classes and being able to speak to you live. And I tell you, what a great lesson today. And getting back to earlier, the question you asked, we as mothers with our daughters or someone be able to step in and continue what we're doing. And sadly to say, I would have to say no, but I know I've put enough information out there where I've seen some of my daughter, some of her actions when she had to step up for her child in this training facility, that business that they call school, and I saw where she used some of the information that I gave her, and so I'm happy with that. But I do know my grandchildren. I have one granddaughter and two grandsons. He calls me, we talk on the phone, he asks me different things, especially when it comes to some of his lessons, and he knows, just like when Rod was saying earlier about someone's child who, I think that was you, Sister N.J.L, about your daughter in the college and challenging the Constitution. Yes. He'll ask me some certain things that he knows, because I sent him, honestly, I have, the only books I don't have on your website if they're not listed. So, and I got copies, and I make sure I send them to them, and I tell you, it's really amazing. So I know whatever I'm doing, I'm definitely doing it for the grandchildren and the future generations. Yeah. But I also want to compliment and comment, or make a comment on. I had to go back into the archives to listen to Tuesday's class, nationality class. I fell asleep last night on the Sons of Allah. Wednesday's class, I was a little curious about Wednesday's class because I noticed you put that little musical session in for a few minutes. I was wondering, I said, I wonder if you were discussing something with the class you didn't want to put on the radio. I wondered about that.
Okay. No, that wasn't why. No, we were actually repositioning ourselves. That's all that we're going to say to that. And what we said. Yeah. No.
But I fell asleep on Sons of Allah, and I definitely turned it back on, and I finished it up just before this class came on. And I tell you, I enjoyed you and Sister N.J.L speaking on the class, and then the young man who called in about his mother passed on me. Oh boy, I tell you that I enjoyed the class, very informative, and it was good hearing the young sons calling in, the young and the older sons calling in, and I thank you for all of this information because I know I'm moving forward, and whatever I do, I'm definitely going to leave a mark so the future generation can continue, just to make it an easier place for them, because I know we have not finally known my purpose. Because I remember a family member said to me one time, he says, well, I'm just waiting to see how your success turn out.
Yeah,
you know, so I
you're living it every day. You can't to somebody. It's you know, man doesn't know by being told. You know, so it's like, wow, they got to live it and be it. They can't. And a lot of people that. Well, let me wait and see what happens to you type thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we used to say? Wait, broke the wagon down. That's what you'll have to tell them.
I told you, what I told? I said my greatest success to me, whether you realize it or not, was finally waking up in this lifetime and finally getting it and knowing who I am. And now I know my purpose, and that's just to inform you and any others who want to listen. And if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. So we left it at that.
All right.
But again, thank you and peace and love. And boy, I will just pass it on. Pass it on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for the call. You know what? I'm going to go back to 7178 because I think I may not have unmuted them. 7178-407. Are you there?
Hello?
Yes, you are there. Yes, you're on the air. Did you have a comment or a question?
No, I don't. I'm in N.J.L Bay in Northwest Maxim. No, I'm just listening to the show. I try to listen every time I have opportunity. I'm on the road. I call myself a commercial traveler because I'm in this big old rig. So I'm just listening. I have a great time. I really appreciate it.
All right, well, then just press 1 on your dial because you're in the queue for a question. So when I mute you, just press 1. You'll still be in and listening, but you won't have your hand up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So now we'll go to caller 510-2156. You are on the air. Do you have a question or comment? I'll mute them. Let's just see. So we're going to go to 985-6215. You are now unmuted and on the air. Do you have a question or comment? You got to be my machine. Are you there? Are we on the air still?
Yes,
we're
still on the air. We're still on the air.
All right. Because, none of these are, let me try this one. 513-1983.
513. Oh, right. It's 513-1983. Where's that?
1983, 513 area, 1983. Yes, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I think Sister Roz, you was, I don't know, when you was doing saying unmuting them, you weren't unmuted because you called my number, but it didn't say unmuted, and then it just literally just did. So maybe those people probably really did have something to say. Yeah, it is me.
But I was hoping to find you because I know you recently changed your phone number.
Yeah, I was saying that maybe those people probably really did something just because it didn't unmute when you said it the first time.
Well, I'll go back to them. I'll go back to them.
First, just thank you. I want to thank you for sharing that on air. Thank you. I appreciate that. I called. I mean, I wasn't going to say nothing, but when Sister Carol said the thing about this spreading it, and that was the reason that made me write that because when I went up there for the football league for my son, they was like, because the first time they was saying something about the birth certificate, I have no birth certificate. I don't have a birth certificate, so I don't have a birth certificate for him. So then when I went back, because about the birth record, because Anna about that, I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe y'all can. And then they was like, oh yeah, we switched it this year. We started everybody had to get a state ID, and I'm like, a state ID like for the children, like the state ID. Like I really kept asking the same question. They were like, yes, the state ID. And so I'm looking around on the 4, 5, because now they have like 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10. And so just for the 4, 5, and 6, it was 50 children on that team. And so I'm thinking like even in that whole organization, it had to be like at least 200 children. And I'm thinking like 200 of our Asiatic babies already got this state ID just from this little team. And so I was like, yeah, I definitely need to write something because that's out of order. And so that's crazy. That's crazy. Like nobody even thought. And the sad part about it to me was that nobody like everybody was just cool. Like you just was like, oh, okay. Like I'm just about to go up there and give my baby a state ID. Like nobody thought about it. They just did that just so the child can play football. That was just out of order. But so that's what made me like that.
Well, we hope that, we trust that with this broadcast today and with what you offered us in terms of, that intellect there, that it will be helpful for people to wake up and see exactly what's going on. And I think that's the reason why you felt compelled to do it, right?
Right. And I don't know why you didn't get all of it. You said you didn't get all of it. I don't know, but maybe because I sent it through my phone, but I'm gonna send you the rest at it. But I just wanted to point out on those IDs, all of them had donor information.
Really?
I put it on the other page. Yes, it's on the other page. I talk about it. They all have donors. Like, so why are they worrying about the children? Like, if the child is a donor or not. So I definitely, yes, on all of them, every last one of them. And so I definitely went in on that and just was putting some stuff about everything that they sell. You know, like they sell like eyes, they sell the skin, they sell like the I forgot what it's called. Like they literally pick the body apart, like the nail, the skin, the hair, like the eyeball, like everything, like a blood. Like I put some prices. Just a pint of blood is like $400. The mother's egg, $12,000. Kidneys, $200,000. You know, like like.
They're vampires.
Oh yeah. So for them to just
but to have the child, to have the mother determine what the child is going to donate.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that crazy?
Yes.
And I thought that was very interesting. And I also had some, but it's you said you would put it on site, so the people get the rest of it. I really broke down because N.E. was saying something about, tagging their children. And so I really broke down not just the name, because they had name on the card, but also on some of the cards they got customer number or they got license number. So I put the definition of a customer at the Black Law and license at the Black Law, and to show how it has nothing to do with the identity of the child. So why do they have a number on that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Why does they have a number?
They issue driver's license numbers to children who are not even of age to have a driver's license. I know someone who's very close to that. That they did something like they drove their parents' car around the block or something, and before they had a license, and they told them, well, when you get your license, you already are going to have an infraction on it. And surely enough, when they became of age to get a license, guess what? They had that infraction on it. So they issued a driver's license number to that child already, because that's the instrument they use to violate your liberties. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, interesting. But, yeah, I'll wait for the rest of that in the final editing and stuff, and then we'll throw it up on Food for Thought. So a lot of people, you may get the books and stuff, but some of the pages, Food for Thought, are some really interesting analects that we put on there, and this is going to be one that goes on there. So if you haven't visited Food for Thought page, you ought. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sister
Thank
Deanna.
you.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All. Peace.
Peace. All right. And make sure you press 1. All right. My computer is just acting a little slow, so I'm going to go back on the other. Let's see. I'll wait until it actually unmutes. It's really slow. Mercury is in retrograde. I guess that's why. I'm trying to unmute, and it just will not unmute them. So I'm going to move on to the next call and try to go back.
Who are you trying to unmute?
I was trying to unmute the one before, where is it? All of the top ones before Jayana. Jayana was.
All right, let me try.
I was trying to unmute the 510-2156. Are you in the studio? Because for some reason it won't unmute them.
What about 407-965?
407. Try that.
407-765. Are you there?
That's the one, yeah. He's unmuted. They're unmuted.
Okay.
But
he's not saying anything. So let's go to the next one, 513-295.
Mm-hmm.
It's mine. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
This sounds like Alitra.
Family. It is.
Alitra. It's fine.
It's my family. Hey, this is a great show, and I was anticipating it, and I just wanted to share an experience because, of course, Sister Jayana and I have talked about the identification cards that they are trying to issue out to the children. The other thing that we had observed on that particular website was that, of course, not only did they have an Asiatic baby, but they had the mother.
Yes.
So that just, like they really went in, like this was letting you know that they're definitely, they have a target. And as I go through this and I look at that document and I look at all the other documents that sometimes we as mothers attach to our children, or we go out and we sign up for out of ignorance, it would make that document, the state ID or whatever, null and void, because they're still using documents that are null and void out the gate to even establish that. And then with it being a contract, the baby can't sign. So there's no way that the baby, the baby is being put into something without their own knowledge and without something that they may want to do. But it is out of the mother's ignorance. But it is still null and void.
But isn't that why the mother needs to be informed so they won't do that? Right.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So I'm not saying that it's okay to do, not at all. I'm just saying that we know that a lot of the things that they've done, just like a lot of us have done the Social Security, maybe signed up for that, even signed up for the birth certificate, maybe out of ignorance, not knowing. Those are still void documents. But we do know that they're reaching at this point. One of the things that I wanted to share in terms of the experience with just homeschooling is that this is my first year, so I decided to do the homeschool. But one of the things that I realized and I recognize is that even when you try to bring your children back into the home, there's a lot of things that you have to reestablish with your children in terms of education if you want to have a more of a structured time in your home to provide the schooling. And one of the things that just kind of made me realize is that my children would follow the rules and the regulations of the schools. They would be afraid, to talk out of terms or maybe to just get up and walk out. But it seems like when they come home, they do all the things that they would never do at school. So that's another way that we as mothers lose power and control over our children, because I've noticed that as I'm bringing them back in and reeling them back in, that there's just some things that have to be reestablished in terms of who has the control, or in terms of who's running the show, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of reprogramming. I have one child that's 14 and another that's 7. The 7-year-old's not so hard, but the 14-year-old, because he's been in there for a while, I can just see that there's going to be a little bit of a reprogramming. So we have to also be very much aware of that the children are being programmed at school to look at you, mother, as though you're not the first teacher.
Well, it's a confusion that is given to the child, because they'll bring in different programs into the school. They bring in subliminally and matter-of-factly tell you to call these numbers if you need anything, or call 911 for stupid stuff, right? They're subliminally telling them that they are their authority when they really are supposed to be public trustees upholding, preserving their rights. See, all of the documents that are internationally recognized, whether they are or they're not, but have been internationally recognized, such as the rights of indigenous people, the rights of the child, the Declaration of Human Rights, all of those are supposed to be disseminated within all public institutions, which would include the school, but they don't do that. They disseminate their own program, which is why, as you're saying, we need to have them out of those schools, those institutions, because it can cause confusion if you teach your child as you're finding one way and they want to teach your child another way. Now we're actually putting confusion in that child's mind. So now, as you said, once they get older, that is the same with us as elders or as parents or older people in society. We're so used to believing and thinking that they are in fact government and not recognize and have not recognized that they're not. That's why I think Prophet Noble said this is for the young and yet unborn. Because once your child is indoctrinated in that, it would be harder to take them out, because you've allowed them to be indoctrinated in it. So now they can question you too. They can question you too, and that causes the confusion. Yes.
And it definitely does. It definitely does. And so I just want, mothers to be aware that sometimes, like, you know, I always feel like, especially with my son, like, I wish I just would have took you out earlier, because sometimes I see like it's doubt there. You know, I feel like it's doubt, and I'm offended by that, because as I tell my son, what makes you think that I'm not capable of teaching each and every last one of these subjects? What, because I don't because, you know, you look at this school and those are the teachers, and there's some other family members that's kind of, you know, making it a little bit hard too, like, oh, are you sure? You know, talking to me like I'm not competent enough to raise my children, or to even not just raise them, but to educate my children. And so, you know, sometimes you have that also playing along with it, because I don't know, you know, grandmothers, a couple of, you know, some family members that, are you sure? Oh, that's just, yeah, but how that's going to work for them when they go to school next year? Are they going to graduate? You know, stuff like that, casting doubt, you know, as well, like some of that negative energy that's coming into play as well, that you have to combat as well. And then there was another thing I wanted to also share with the parents, is that when I had to take my son to a doctor, she wanted me to contract and say that by him being a teenager, that I would allow them to talk to him without me being present. And I told them no. And so the doctor was having a very hard concept with that. So she said to me, so are you telling me that until he's 18, he can't speak to anyone outside of you? And I said, at this point, yes, ma'am. I said, because I know that he is not able to decipher if you are coming with a form of deception in your question. I said, let's just give an example. I said, now if he was to be interrogated by a police, he has the right to a quote unquote attorney, right? They can't even question him without someone being there to competently be able to make sure that his rights aren't being violated. So why would I let him speak to you without me being present to make sure that your form of questioning is not deceptive?
His right leg or his right arm or some craziness, right? Or agree to, right. Well, so I have to tell you, you're right, because I had an experience that I know of where, you know, like they make you responsible for the child, but now they're trying to pull you away, as what you're describing. And when it comes to their driver's license instrument, they'll make you responsible for everything they do in school except for the driver's license instrument. They actually told this person point blank that the child has a contract with that particular driver's license, and the parent could not speak for the child in the so-called court regarding something that was dealing with that. So this is the stuff they do. So you're right.
So I mean, and I guess that would be if you allow them to classify you as a parent, and you don't let them know that you are the mother, and keep reaffirming that as well. Because I had the lady say, "Well, he's my patient," and I said, "But he's my son, and I'm his mother, and my title trumps yours every day.
That's right,
all the time." So we just have to be clear. We have to be clear. So Islam, and I'll yield the floor. Thank you so much.
Islam. That's just like when the sisters, this is why sisters shouldn't be in those institutions they call hospitals, because they'll tell you in those institutions called hospitals, they'll say things like, well, we do such and such to our babies. This is how we handle our babies. See, they're already claiming from birth, and unless the mother is competent, she'll think, oh, they're looking out for my interests. Nope. Check the language. They said our baby. You ain't included in the our.
Sister Alicia, can you take yourself out of the queue by pressing 1?
Press 1, yeah.
And Sister Anna-Ede, I don't know if we got 7178. That was the first one I was trying to get, and for some reason I'm not able to unmute at this time.
7178. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're looking at the... yeah, I did try. All right.
You did?
Call us 407. 407-725. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Medicine.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is N.J.L. Bay. I just you got me on last time. I just listened to the show.
Oh, you didn't press. All right.
Yeah, I pressed 1, but for some reason it's unmuting.
All right.
Okay, what you have to do is after we unmute you, then press 1.
Yes.
And you'll come out of the queue.
All right.
Okay, hopefully it works this time.
All right.
But great show.
Thank you. All right, you got them?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so now we have, did you already take 985-869? There he goes. He's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, stay unmuted. You're at 412-652.
652. All right. Call 412-652. You're live on the air. Please state your affiliation at Northwestern Maxim.
Islam. This is Sheila L. Bay, Northwestern Maxim. It's a wonderful show. I'm actually just so enjoying it. Of course, I'm still new. I'm learning everything, and I just kind of had a little question. It's very difficult. I have a 17-year-old. Bringing this information to him. They think I'm absolutely crazy. They don't believe in it. So I'm just trying to figure out what is like a good way to approach, my children in regards to this information. I've tried different ways, and that obviously has not helped. So to all the other mothers, it's coming into the information. It's brand new to the information. What is a good approach to, bring to the children, that's 17 and up in their 20s when you're brand new to this?
Examples?
Yeah, what's a good example? Because I'm just trying to figure out. Obviously, I have not done it the correct way because they are not.
None of us, most of us have not, and so you were showing the situation again for the young and unborn, and how mothers have this responsibility from birth because you're just finding out. So of course, when we know better, we do better. And now you're concerned about your children. Understood. And that is a difficult position to be in, but it still will have to be from example. I don't know, N.E., what do you have to add to that? Because that's the only...
very difficult, and I know it's a lot of mothers that, are in my shoes. It's coming to the information, and we have the older, that we definitely want them to be able to grasp this information and have an understanding. But it's extremely difficult, extremely. I mean, they are so programmed. It doesn't help with the schools. The school has so many different tactics they use to really keep them programmed even more. They're actually bringing out where they're giving all the children iPad, notepads to all the children to have throughout the day and also to take home. Of course, there's something behind them doing that, because that makes absolutely no sense to me for them to give all children iPad 2s. But, the schools just have them so programmed, and they're just coming up with so many different ways to keep them programmed, and to keep them distracted.
They even got homework that is ridiculous, and they want the parents to be involved, and, and that intimidates the parents and trying to keep them busy. What they're doing is so out of order and so ridiculous. I don't know how.
And it's just you say one thing, you just say one thing to your children, and they have something else to say back to you because of the program and the conditioning, that has went on so long. So for us mothers that are coming into the information, I've been doing a lot of studying for a little while. So it's just very difficult. I mean, extremely. And the schools have a big impact on what they're doing to our children, which is really sad. I look at it continuously, and I'm just trying to find some kind of way to just, get my children to understand, because he's getting ready to be 18. And that's another question that I have. Once I proclaim and I nationalize myself, I know my son is going to fall under me. However, when he turns 18, he would have to do that himself then, correct?
No. Once if a mother does that, it's really done. But that's not necessarily the case with you. Once he turns 18, see, that's the whole thing about putting beings into society. He would act out and do what he was taught. So it's going to be his decision to do things, and maybe he'll have to find out on his own
And I want to say the hard way because, it's just, it's going to be his decision. I really don't. I mean, a lot of times you just do and have patience that they will get it through their own experiences. But then at the same time, again, you have to be very careful that some of your own family can actually jeopardize you.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
What I would suggest you doing, I did this with my daughters. There's the audio of Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry? That was so mind-blowing. That I just thought it was so informative and so well done that I bought a bunch of them, and I gave one to each of my daughters for Christmas. And then I was listening to one at work, and a sister at work, she liked a lot of the information. I mean, it wasn't like I was targeting her or anything or, trying to give her any information. She just heard some of it, and she liked it. So I got her and her daughter a copy of that for Christmas. And then there's also the Inventor audio book, because a lot of times if they hear it and they hear it from somebody else, they can hear it better.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. And that's going to be on the site, correct?
Yeah, and that one she's talking about is Return to Civilization, which are the first three intro books combined in one, which is Truth About Your Hair, Your Nationality, and The Truth About the Inventors. It's called Return to Civilization, and it's under the Talking Books category. And the other one is Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry, and that's under the Talking Book. So it's really the book, and there's stuff added audio, but the book is done on audio. And see, this way, you're not forcing them, you're just giving it to them in one day. They'll listen.
Yes.
Yes. And sometimes, especially your sons, that you're going to have to.
I know, especially my son. I'm just like, I just want him to just grasp it.
What's his astrology sign, your son?
He's actually a Leo. He's July 23rd.
All right. So, yeah, he should be able to receive it, but he's fixed. And any fixed sign people, which are the Taurus, Leo, Scorpios, and Aquariuses, they're not just going to take on the dime a suggestion. They're not going to do it that way. They're fixed. So you would have to do just as Annie Eve said, just give it to them and let them deal with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much how you act, though.
Yeah, but
you're very correct on that.
Yeah, because the one thing that we can all guarantee you is that they're going to have some sort of an interaction with these modern Europeans that they're not going to like, and they're not going to know how to deal with it, and they will more than likely come to you and ask you, man, how do I get out of this? And that will be your opportunity to give them some additional information and help them to, handle their affairs. Because it's going to come. I mean, when I started researching this information, it was like one by one, my daughters had issues with so-called traffic infractions. And they came to me. They're like, I'm not paying this. And they're like, Mom, what should I do? What do I do? And I told them, and I went with them, and we wrote writs and stuff like that. And they're like, wow, this stuff really works. Yeah.
I'm just gonna continue to, because I'm playing you guys all day long. I'm listening to shows all day. I'm studying continuously. So, they do hear it. They're listening. I don't do any TV or anything like that. So, yeah, they're listening. They're definitely listening.
You're going to have to do a lot of meditation. That's right. You're going to have to do it also as a mother.
If you're listening to it and, and it's like playing through the house, trust me, it's going into the cranium. And another thing that you can do, believe it or not, play it at night when they're asleep.
Oh, I have it on. My son can hear it. Yeah, he can hear it at night. He definitely hears it because I play it at night.
No, but here's the thing. They are asleep. the subconscious mind is wide open, and that's what you want to get into.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm playing it throughout the day. That's all, pretty much if, I don't have other things to do. I'm listening to it all day. It's playing all day. I got the shows on. So they definitely listen. They're definitely, my daughter, she told me, she said, I kind of understand, but I'm just afraid. I've been, she's 22. She said, I'm just afraid because I've been taught something different for so long. I don't know how to even go about it.
She thinks you have to correct her. Well, you have to correct her when she says she's been taught. You have to correct her and say, "No, baby, you just like me, you've been conditioned, and now that I am aware that I've been conditioned instead of truly learning, I'm just giving you the information, and just let them know you're giving them the same information that you're newly learning.
Right.
So it's not like you're in a higher place than them. They really see that you both are on equal footing, and you're learning together, and so they receive it differently.
And
I think she's just more like afraid. I think when it gets to that age and they come into some new information, I think it's more or less just afraid of accepting the truth, or afraid of really getting and digging into it.
So
I think because that's what I come across when I deal with, people out, and I'm, talking to them about it or whatever. It's more they're afraid, it's afraid of the truth, afraid of change. You just see that, that they're just afraid,
Well,
that's all I can say.
Here's what you do, You take that word afraid or fear, and although this is sort of like an acronym, but fear is false evidence appearing real. Keep that in mind. So when they get submitted what is supposed to be a ticket or an order to do something or order to court or anything that these corporations would put before her, saying that she must do this or she must do that, tell her that that is what fear is. That piece of paper is the evidence, but it is false evidence that appears to be real. And then you must do what all mothers do, and that is meditate, or what people call pray. Give it to God, as they say, and trust that what you have shared with them will pan out in favor. Because mothers have to do that no matter what.
Okay.
Right.
I do meditate. I definitely do that, and, try to keep the diet and everything correct, vegan, raw, trying to get the kids to, my son is slowly grasping on, to eating correctly. He's little, he still goes back to a little bit of that toxic stuff, but, he's really cautious now.
He'll give it up eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, he will. Oh, yeah, because he's already coming in very slowly. So, it's just grasping this information. I'm like, how else do I go about it? So I'm definitely going to get those audios and do that and, go that route because, it's important. Oh, my goodness.
and for your daughter,
I know there's a lot of mothers that's out there I'm sorry?
For your daughter also, we forgot to mention the audio, and Annie, that's one of your favorites, too. She redeemed.
Yes,
your daughter got to
say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
She redeemed. She redeemed. The audio book.
She redeemed.
Redeemed.
That's all under the Talking Books. Talking Books.
Okay.
You'll find it there. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. You guys do such a wonderful job. I'm always listening in, and I'm just so inspired just to keep moving on. I'm just like wondering, I'm so grateful. I am so grateful from where I was to where I'm coming in with this knowledge. It's just like a breath of fresh air, and to listen to you guys do a wonderful, wonderful job. You guys touch my heart in so many ways, and I just want to thank you guys. Thank you and the brothers for, taking your time out to give us this information. Is just such blessing. I don't want to say blessing, but, I'm going to use that word because that's the word I'm kind of used to.
Great. What you do is use the word as such a grace, because grace is all things that are formed.
Okay. I was always like, what other word do I use besides? Because I'm so used to saying blessing.
Well,
okay, but it's such a grace.
Well, see, our mother, and a lot of mothers of those listening, they would say over the food, they would say, did you say your grace? My mother never said, did you say your blessing? She always said, did you say grace? Because you're, being thankful for what is being formed in front of you, which is what grace is. And it is attached to the tars or to the vocals because we speak our reality as it manifests from our words.
Okay. All right. Well, it's such a grace. I will use that now because I'm so used to saying blessing, and I know that's the incorrect word. And every time I say it, a little feeling goes through my body. I'm just like, I know I'm using the wrong word. What is the word that I say and replace? So I thank you guys.
You do know also that you did bless your children only once when they were in the womb, and that combustion happened where, the egg and the ovum and that bloodshed, if you will, happened at that time. That was the blessing and the only blessing. After that, everything is great because it's formed.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, blessing means bloodshed. All right.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you, guys. Peace and love.
All righty. Peace and love.
All right. It looks like we only have one more call.
There's no more callers.
Yeah, 2388. I'm sorry. Right above ours, 985-869. Or is that caught the truck driver? No, that's not the truck driver.
No. Yeah, that is. No, we already answered that one.
All right, he's not. All right, so that means that's everything.
That concludes this broadcast of Sisters Standing on Law. We shall see you back here next month. That's October 18th. And at that time, we will begin analyzing the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So make sure and join us at same time, 1 p.m., October 18th. And, what are we playing out? Are we playing out Pharaoh's Army?
Yeah, let's play Pharaoh's Army out, yeah.
All right. Well, and also make sure and join us Tuesday, 9:30, for Principles of Nationality. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliothealer text that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them guys don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they nigga this right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, Lova, Tor, Marcus Garvey, your ass. Nova, Julia, our leading God, body demand. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in.
you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so don't believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word more. And that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That description, maybe, black or more or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit up out of me. Roz Mariah, Anna Eve, Miss Raheem, Todd Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland, listen to them speak. I done learned from the best, I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them, the whole deal was, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.
O'Reilly. The next time you need auto parts and accessories, trust the parts professionals at the 96 Atlanta area O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Our professional parts people know what it takes to get the job done right. Professionals have counted on O'Reilly Auto Parts for decades. Now you can too. Professional parts people, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.